Okay, here's a quick video on how to start up the sound system in the main auditorium here at church. I'm going to do really three parts. One is physically powering up the mains. The second is loading presets for the digital boards, and then the third is turning on the monitors. So I want you to see a shot of everything when it's powered down, specifically the laptop here. You can see there's a little app called Universal Control. This thing always runs when you start up the laptop. This thing will always be there, and this is sort of what it'll look like when the boards are powered off. So really there are two racks here for the physical equipment, and each of them has a power supply on the top. So we'll just hit the power buttons on both of those, and we'll see that everything powers on, including the boards. What I wanted you to note here is that you can see once the boards power on, that we'll see that it actually opens the control surface for the board. We'll come back to that in a second. So really just hit the two power buttons that'll power everything on. Let's set the volumes on the power amps. This bottom power amp, there are three in the rack. The bottom one is a spare power amp. We only use that as a backup in case we ever had a problem with the mains. Next power amp up, you can see it's labeled main left and right. That's obviously for the mains. Next power amp is labeled front and back, and this is for the speakers that sit on the front wall and the back wall that sort of fill those corners. So very simply, we are going to turn the volumes all the way up on the main left and right. For the front and back, we're going to go all the way up and then back 1, 2, 3 clicks. Right? So that's all the way up and then back 1, 2, 3 clicks. And that's really just as we've tweaked out the sound system where it seems to fall the best. It tends to get loud in those corners if you don't do that. So that's powering up the mains. Okay, so the next part is loading a preset. And you can see again that when we powered the board on, that it automatically loaded our Studio Live control panel. So really what we're going to do is we're going to look. We have several presets that are loaded over here, saved over here. We're just going to grab one of these guys, and most specifically I'm going to grab the one that's dated 3/30/14, so they all have sort of timestamps I put in the names. Let's grab the eService 3/30/14. We're going to take it and we're going to drag it over here. Now it isn't, so we're just going to click and hold and then drag it over here. You can see that the screen sort of changes and it ghosts out. It's important where you drop this. If I drop it here, you can see that only part of the screen goes out, just the names. That would only load the names for each of the channels. If I move it up or move it down, we just want to see the whole screen ghosted out. So I'll show you that one more time. I grab this guy, click, hold, drag it over where the whole screen is ghosted out, let it go. So we'll see now that all of the channel names are there and all of the faders are set. This is all we have to do. We have a preset loaded. You'll notice that the physical sliders on the board I have pushed all the way up except for the tech booth and the mains in case somebody needed to change those. These are all the way up and I have them taped into place. What's been happening is that people are accidentally bumping them, and when I bump one of these, it physically resets the fader to that volume if somebody sits their phone here or something. So I moved all these up and taped them in place. If you ended up in an emergency situation where, you know, something was feeding back, you could just pull the mains down. So that's really part two. We got everything powered up. We have our power amp set volume-wise. We have a preset loaded. So I'm going to walk down so this can be one continuous video here. I'm just going to walk down to the stage, show you how power on the monitors, and we should be good to go. While I'm walking, I'll tell you that occasionally, it hasn't happened in a long time, but occasionally when you power up the boards with throwing the main power switches there and the power amps and everything power up, and when you power up the boards, that control surface doesn't automatically load, and you might see that little agent that was sitting in the middle of the screen there that says application not responding. Don't mess with trying to fix anything on that. Just restart the computer. You can leave everything on, just hit restart on the computer, and when it comes back, everything is fine. If you have any problems with an iPad not connecting for whatever reason, or when you look on your iPad, the meters are frozen. That's happened 2 or 3 times over the course of a year. Just restart the laptop. That's always the fix. Okay, so 2 things that need to happen here down on the stage for powering the monitors. It's about as easy as it gets. We hit this power button. Now all the monitors are on, right? And we're talking about the physical monitors that sit on stage. The in-ear monitor is powered on from upstairs. So I don't have a light here, but you can see that these volumes in this top power amp are for Chuck and the bass player, and these volumes in this next power amp down are for Nick and Dan. So those 2 physical monitors. So you have 4 knobs for 4 physical monitor volumes. Don't need to change those. We just leave them powered on all the time. Last but not least, you'll notice that the drums are not powered on, and you'll actually hear that there's a buzz in the monitor until you do power on the drums. Now, best practice would be to hit the mute button before you do this, because it's going to make a little pop, but you can see there, power button on this power strip. I probably should have hit the mute button. That was kind of loud. You see the drums are powered on now. And that is how you power up the sound system here.